It's my first live video, so you hear dogs barking in the background. It's pretty outside, so Zoe's being a 7th Street Patrol, so you might hear her barking. So today is all about dry eyes, and I don't know how many of you guys have it, but I have it really, really, really bad, okay? 12 million Americans are supposed to have it, so that's a good number, right? So I just wanted to share what I know and what I've researched to try to help you, right? So first of all, dry eye is pretty self-explanatory. It's, your eyes don't make enough tears, or it can be your eyes make too much tears, which is still dry eye. Weird, I know, but it is. So the main symptoms that everybody is necessarily talking about: dryness, tearing. That's what I was talking about. You're crying, but you're dry. Itching, photophobia, which is light sensitivity. That's not a super common one, but I do have that one. Burning, grittiness, so it feels like you have dust in your eyes all the time. Strain, eye strain, like when you're viewing your computer or your phone too much, that often leads to dry eye because you don't necessarily blink as much as you should. Redness, pain, depending on the severity. Foreign body sensation, that's what I was talking about with the dirt. It sometimes feels like there's a lot more than just a teeny tiny speck. Stinging. And the biggest thing that they say is how they tell the difference from other things is your acuity, your vision changes very often. Like you can be looking at the TV and all of a sudden it flashes in and out of clarity. That means that your eyes are super dry. So some things that you can do, just real simple, you can blink intentionally. Now I know that sounds kind of stupid, but if you're real interested in something, you probably notice that you're not blinking a whole lot. So the technique is to intentionally blink more and blink longer. So when you do blink, you want to hold it. You want to squeeze. So while that's happening, you're actually forming more tears. Screen breaks. Obviously, if you're, on your computer, TV, phone, we're on it way too much. Over 10 hours a day is the standard. So take a break. Just if you're at work looking at the computer, just get up and walk around. Just stop looking at it. Removing makeup at night, or if you're like me, just don't wear it, right? Because it's a lot easier. Sunglasses help because the UV and the wind and the sun and all of that is going to dry out your eyes. That's going to at least provide some sort of barricade to help that. Cleaning your lids. So it doesn't mean like with soap, like Dove or something. The best way to do that is with baby shampoo. So really, you don't have to have dry eyes to do that because it feels amazing, right? And it does help. And I know for me, if I wash my face with my face wash, I don't wash my eyelids because that's going to burn if it gets in there. So I always wash my face with whatever I'm using, and then I go back and focus, this whole area right here. Make sure your brows are cleaned even. And you just not necessarily want to scrub, but back and forth. And for contact lens wearers, I know a lot of people are not just going to stop wearing contacts, so reduce your time. Go down to part-time. If you can do anything to get those contacts out of your eyes more often, it's going to help because it always aggravates the dry eye, okay? So it can be just called dry eye. It can be called dry eye syndrome, dry eye disease. It's probably a lot more that I'm forgetting. Tear duct plugs is one of the first things that they'll have you do, other than artificial tears. But you can try artificial tears. It's cheap, but it doesn't necessarily work unless it's really mild. You know, if it's severe, you're wasting your money. Tear duct plugs, they come in collagen and silicone. Collagen ones dissolve. So if the doctor's getting ready to put them in and you've never had anything like that, they want to put the collagen in to test, because if you can't tolerate them, those will dissolve. The next step is silicone, which can be permanent, but they're thought of to be semi-permanent because you can remove them. You can, really they're not supposed to, but if they don't size them right, they can like pop down into your canal, and I'm really not sure what happens to them after that. Or they can take them out. There's also a surgery that you can have, which essentially you're cauterizing. Tear ducts are here and here. Eyelids, can't see them with the naked eye. They're just basically a canal. So you close those. Essentially what the tear ducts and the surgery is doing is forcing your eye to keep the fluid, right? Hang on, my phone's dying. Okay, so there's another procedure. It's called, well, there's actually several different things that it can be. It's meibomian glands, which means on the inside of your eyelid that you cannot see. Even if you flip your eyelid up, you can't see them with the naked eye. They're glands under your eyelids, right? It's kind of like sweat glands everywhere else, but these are for the oil to help lubricate your eye, because your conjunctiva, the covering of your entire eye, has to be lubricated, or else it's going to have damage. So this meibomian glands, they expel the oil to help lubricate, kind of like oil and water, right? So there's a couple different ways that you can do that. The one that I had done, which by the way, if it's not horrible, don't do it, because it's not pleasant in the least little bit. I had 4 rounds of it and it didn't even help. But I'm going to tell you anyways. IPL. So it stands for intense pulsating light. So kind of the draw that they tell you about is that it'll help with anti-aging, because that light is, pulsing. Essentially what it's called. It's pulsing. They cover your eye and it pulses, And what it does, your meibomian oil is essentially like Crisco. So that meaning Crisco is a solid until you heat it up. So the solid in your eyelids are going to loosen, turn into oil, turn into liquid. And then that light isn't painful. That light's, whatever. You can hardly see it. Your eyes are closed. So it's basically like popping a pimple on the inside of your eyelid, if you can possibly imagine that. You don't do it, they do it. They use forceps, and it requires a lot of pressure, so it's not pleasant at all, and it's very uncomfortable after for quite a long time. And if you're anything like me, it doesn't work. So I wouldn't do it again. I did it 4 times. I wouldn't do it again. Hygiene, going back to the glands, you want to have as clean of an area as possible, because those canals can get debris in them, because your eyes aren't forcing it out, because the whole theory behind tears is that you force out the dust and the debris and the eyelashes and all of that. So fish oil. I'm not a big medicine person, right? I don't like to take it. It's expensive. I'm just not a fan. So fish oil has been something that I've tried to eliminate many, many times with no avail. That's one medicine that every time I try to discontinue it, I know I feel it. It's a big slap in the face. Hey, you don't need to get rid of that. I take 2 a day, so that's 2,400 milligrams. You can take up to 36, I think. So that would be 3. Well, 3 if you buy the 1,200. Depending on the severity, you could take just 1, or, I mean, they recommend flaxseed oil also, but from my experience, it doesn't work. There is nothing like fish oil at all. So you can try it. You can, if you don't necessarily want to buy another pill, they make flaxseed like that you sprinkle on top of, let's say, your cereal. So you could try that. But if you're getting fish oil, take it from someone who went through the ringer with that. Make sure you get the odorless, and I think some of them even say burpless, because if you're burping up fish, you're not going to take it. I didn't. If it's just a very, very mild, then you can put them in the freezer. And then if you take them at night, it's not nearly as bad. But if you're taking them during the day, you're still getting that effect. So try to find the ones that aren't like that you aren't going to burp up, because it's gross. So it can be controlled, but it can't be cured, right? So there's definitely people that don't have it, no matter if they're out in the wind or whatever. So some things that make it worse, obviously for me, it was eye surgery, because my eyes have so much scar tissue, and I've been through 5 eye surgeries, so lots and lots of incisions and stitches. So some other things that make it worse are any type of infection, any type of cold, because it's introducing the inflammation, diabetes, thyroid disorder, rheumatoid arthritis, smoking, lupus, rosacea, ingrown eyelashes, steroids, antihistamines, diuretics, like even for blood pressure. Obviously, diuretic means you're getting rid of the fluid in your body, so obviously you're getting rid of the fluid in your eyes more than you should be. Contact use, birth control pills, sleeping pills, acne medication, all of those can make it worse. Now, that isn't to say that everybody with diabetes has dry eyes, because they don't. There's also, a scale. So you either have mild, moderate, or severe. So a lot of times you don't even know you have it until you go to the doctor and they say, okay, you have dry eye. Some of the ways that they do that, probably the most common is called punctate staining. So essentially, they can use a strip or they can use a drop. But essentially what they're doing is they numb your eye almost always. Some don't, but almost always they do. And they pull your bottom lid out, stick the strip down in there. You close your eyes for 30 seconds, maybe a minute, and it turns your eye yellow. And I'm sure you've all had that in an eye exam where they give you a tissue and your tissue's yellow. Well, that's what it's doing. So essentially that whole the whole sclera, the whole white part, is now yellow. Not hugely, but it's yellow. So that means when they go in with a slit lamp, the thing with all the lights they shine in your eyes, they turn on the blue light and it turns into this fluorescent green. Okay, so where there's darker green, that means there's damage, that means there's erosion, that means there's severe dry eye. That's not good. Now you're not going to be able to see the erosions with your naked eye, so that's why they do the fluorescein. 40% of people with dry eye also have glaucoma. So something called tear breakup time, essentially what they're doing in that is they have you blink pretty much. And while they're in the slit lamp, with the magnifiers and the lights, they watch how quickly your tears. So essentially, it's going from the center, and your tears separate, right? It's kind of hard to explain if you can't see it. But that's something that they can tell, because if your tear breakup time is quickly, you're not getting enough lubrication. There's something called osmolarities, and that's going to be the gold standard. There has been a lot of research that's shown that that's going to be really good, and it has a really objective standpoint, especially for severe dry eye, but it's still in the research phase. You can't get the equipment that you need in a regular office right now. So that will be coming, but it isn't right now. You can do eyelid exams to check, if there's any type of inflammation or ingrown hairs or anything like that. So that's the whole, like, when you flipped your eyelids up as a kid, same deal, but they're doing it behind a microscope. The Schirmer, I'm not sure if I'm saying that, Schirmer tear test, that, hang on. That is where they numb your eye. They put a strip under your bottom lid, much like I was talking about with the staining, but it stays there for 5 minutes. You don't squeeze your eyes, you just keep them closed. They remove the strip, and then they see how much moisture is left on the strip, and that's supposed to tell them how dry your eyes are. So, omega-6s are also supposed to be helpful. Fish oil is omega-3. So omega-6 there's 2 different kinds. There's GLA, which is from plants, and that's good. You can get it in medicine. And then there's the bad form, which is hydrogenated trans fat oils. Those are really, really bad. And you're getting omega-6, but it's the bad omega-6, so you don't want that. Females have it much more often than males do. Typically, it's 40 years old and on that have it. 50 years old, the stat goes up even higher. Obviously, if you're anything like me, I'm 30, and I've had it since I was a baby. So that's not, an end-all be-all stat. So you're trying to increase the rate of tears, right? So you can take supplements, like I said, and that will help tear production. Also, it will decrease inflammation, because inflammation is huge. I mean, inflammation, like I said in my last one, it's awful. It wreaks havoc. So, of course, it's going to wreak havoc in your eyes as well. Another thing that is often mistaken for dry eye is ocular allergies, eye allergies. So, they have several of the same symptoms, but you do not treat them the same way. So, often, if you have itching, it's often allergies. I can't tell you awful many times that I've had itching with just dry eye. It's usually allergy season, or if you're around something that you're allergic to. So, some symptoms with that is burning, tearing, foreign body, dryness, itching. Not nearly as many symptoms as the dry eye. So, some things that they can look for if you're not having any symptoms is eyelid edema, swelling of your eyelids, clear, watery, stringy discharge, swelling of the conjunctiva, the layer across your eyes. There's things that increase the risk of it, such as family history. Now, that doesn't always mean you're going to have it, Males have the ocular allergy more than females do, as opposed to dry eye, which is the other. If you have allergies, systemic allergies, like let's say a peanut allergy or anything like that, you're going to probably be a lot more prone to having an ocular allergy. Hygiene is another thing with that. And there's medicines for it that include like steroids. You don't use steroids for dry eye, for the common dry eye. Now, they did for me, and I don't know if that was a mistake or what, but they used steroids for probably 6 years, probably, I would say, Pred Forte. And it's only supposed to be 2 to 4 weeks for most people, so I don't know. They use Restasis, zithromycin topical into the eyelid. So basically they pull up your eyelid, put some stuff there, and you close your eye. Doxycycline can be taken orally, and 50 milligrams twice a day for a month, and then it's titrated down to 50 milligrams once a day. Some treatments for the ocular allergies. Cool compresses as opposed to the dry eye is warm compresses, because you're loosening, let's say, the meibomian glands. You're wanting hot for that, cool for allergy. When you have the allergies, you want to wash your hair before you go to sleep, because it's going to get rid of stuff during the day that's caught in your hair that maybe when you move your head, it's going to get in your eye. Artificial tears. Avoid eye rubbing, because just like if you have a rash, the more you rub it, the more you scratch it, the more it's going to itch. Same deal. That little gooey thing in the corner of your eye, the crap, I forgot the name of it. I don't know, it'll come to me. The more you itch it, or the more you scratch it, the more it itches. So don't do that. Antihistamines help with eye allergies, but you want to use topical, because those are not going to be systemic. They're not going to bother other things. They're like directly into the eye, and it's directly going to affect the eye. Steroids, cyclosporin, which is like Restasis, decongestants, cold medicine, and NSAIDs. NSAIDs aren't used very often, but they can be. Dry eye can cause vision loss, corneal damage, and increased glare. The glare is mainly at night, but I'm sure we can have glare anytime. So that the erosion and the damage is going to make all of that worse. It's worse in the winter, mainly because of the humidity, because it's dry, so we're not getting as much help from the environment to keep our eyes moist. So with that, you want to make sure that there's no fan running while you're sleeping, and it's better to have a humidifier. LASIK surgery makes it worse. Now, that's not to say that everybody that has dry eye can't get LASIK, because that is not true. But if you have severe dry eye, 9 out of 10 times they're not going to do surgery on you, because it's going to make it worse. Hormones are thought to affect the dry eye. That's why birth control pills and females have it more than men. So food, there's things that can make it worse and things that can make it better. So either you think of food as medicine or poison, right? I know we don't do that very often because of the standard American diet, and chips are amazing, but chips are really bad for you. So all of that correlates into your eye health as well. So essentially, sugar in the form of bread, candy, soda, whatever, raises your insulin. High insulin creates inflammation. Inflammation disturbs your eye, okay? Makes it itchy, makes it dry, all of this. So also what that sugar is doing is it pulls fluids from your lens. So it is actually drying out the focusing center of your eye, meaning that that's another reason why your vision goes in and out, because it's dry and it's not able to change shapes and stuff. Damages the blood vessels in your retina. That's not fixable. I mean, diabetics are often found with eye exams. Not always, but, I worked in eyes for several years, and I know of many, many people that didn't know they had diabetes or didn't know they had high blood pressure until they got out of the office. You can see all of that in the eyes, okay? So that theory of your eyes are the windows to your soul, that's applicable in many different ways, but you can go to the eye doctor and find out that you have other things wrong with you, which is kind of interesting, I think. So things that are high in omega-3s, food-wise, are egg yolks. Yes, I said egg yolks, not egg whites. That's where the nutrients are. Eat the egg yolk. Grass-fed meats and fish, wild-caught fish, cold water fish. Evening primrose oil, that's a good version of the omega-6s that you can take. They have that over the counter. Dehydration should be a common sense thing. You're dehydrating your entire body, including your eyes. So the more water you drink, the more hydrated you're going to be, the more your skin, your eyes, everything is going to thank you because there's enough water there. Okay? Blepharitis is the inflammation of your eyelids. That often irritates your eyes because that is just going to be rubbing over top of your eye,